best part, though? He said he's not the only penis man.
Florida man arrested for pulling gun on escort. She was touching everything in my house but my dick.
Rest in peace, this man's whole career.
Oh my God, no.
No!
Yeah.
No! Please tell me
This was in Florida.
Shit!
Alrighty, guys, welcome back to another episode of Slightly Informed. The date is March 8th, and I'm back again with Nick and Maklain and myself, John, and we're going to jump right into it. This week, I'm going to lead us off with a reading series. Nick is now the victim of the game Slightly Improvised, and he's going to tell us about a topic. And McLean's going to fill us in on what's going on in one of the greatest states in our nation. So, and then, yeah.
Not the greatest. Come on.
Don't sell it short, John.
And then in the second half, we'll talk about some politics, but on a lighter note, or I guess a more serious note. We'll figure it out.
Both notes.
What the vibe is when we get there.
Okay.
I'm gonna start us off with our reading series, though. You guys aren't really major Redditors, are you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
I am.
You are?
Yeah.
So you've heard of Kevin, probably, right?
Kevin.
The story of Kevin. It's like one of the most famous threads on Reddit.
I'm spacing that
Okay.
now.
Well, I'm gonna jump into reading the comment.
Oh, no.
Okay. So it starts. Oh, it's from user Noah the Red. So thanks, Noah the Red. Yeah, it's like there's like a history that's happened on Reddit, and this is like one of the famous things that's happened. Okay.
I know some of those last
exactly.
ones, but no.
Okay. So it's starting. It's not uncommon as a teacher to have students who are a bit behind the curve in certain aspects, but 99.99% of the time they are keen on something. They might not understand how to identify a noun or what theme is, but they somehow know how to make a mean plate of nachos. You learn pretty quick not to judge a fish for their tree climbing ability, you know? I thought this was the rule when I was teaching until I met Kevin. Kevin isn't his real name, but it doesn't matter because he can't spell it anyway. Kevin was a student of mine during my last year of teaching. He came to my classroom with very little to show for his academic past. He had moved a few times and thus was missing a lot of typical test scores that we used to try and ballpark their ability. Don't worry, it was a ballpark. We didn't make major decisions until we actually had a chance to talk and work with a student for a bit. I thought, that's fine. I'll just do some one-on-one with Kevin and see what's up. One-on-one with Kevin was like conversing with someone who'd forgotten everything in a freak, if not impossible, amnesia incident.
Whoa.
There was no evidence that he'd learned anything past second grade, and now he was in ninth grade. Flabbergasted, I figured we needed to get more serious with this. If he was going to be in my class, I needed to know why and how. I decided to meet with him, his guidance counselor, his parents, and another teacher to see what was really going on. This is where it all became clear. It was by some incredible fluke that his family hadn't been wiped off the face of the earth years ago. Odds are his entire heritage was based on blind luck and some type of sick divine intervention that saves his family every time a threat presents itself. Kevin was the genetic pinnacle of this noble achievement. Even my instructional lead, a woman who could find a redeeming trait in a Balrog, failed to see any reason this kid or his family should be alive today.
Whoa. Oh, my damn.
Damn it.
I think it's more like he should have, like, not in like a negative way, but it's just like,
how?
How did evolution not wipe this family off the face of the earth generations ago?
Yeah.
Okay, so it continues. So here's a list of events that made it abundantly clear that God exists and he's laughing uncontrollably. Kevin frequently forgot when and where class was. On more than one occasion, I had to retrieve him from other classrooms. Kevin ate an entire 24-pack of crayons, puked, and then did it again the next day. This is ninth grade. I have no idea where he got the crayons. Kevin's dad wrote tuition checks and mailed them to me, his English teacher. This was a public school. When I gave it back to Kevin voided to give to his dad with a brief note explaining that this is a public school, Kevin got in trouble for trying to spend it at 7-Eleven after school. Kevin was removed from the culinary arts program after leaving a cutting board on the gas stove and starting a fire. Twice. Kevin threw his lunch at the school resource officer and tried to run away. Sorry, this story gets me every time, man. And tried to run away. He ran into a door and insisted it wasn't him.
Who ran into the door.
Yeah, no, through the, like, imagine a kid throwing like some food at the school resource officer, turning and like crashing into a door, and then just be like, wasn't me. Oh my god.
That's cool.
Kevin stole my phone during class. I called it. It rang. He denied that it was ringing. Not that it wasn't his. Not that he did it. No, he denied that my phone was actually ringing. He tried it 3 times before the end of the year. Oh my god. Okay, I'm going to try to pull this together. Okay. Kevin called the basketball coach a motherfucking bitch during gym. Basketball tryouts were that afternoon. Kevin tried out. It didn't go well. Oh my god. Kevin's mom could never remember which school he went to. She missed several meetings because she drove to other schools, none of which he ever went to.
Oh my god.
Kevin tased himself in the neck before a football game. Kevin kept a bottle. Oh god, we're gonna have to cut some of this because I'm just gonna keep laughing. Kevin kept a bottle of orange Kool-Aid in his backpack for about 4 months. He thought it would turn into alcohol. he drank it during a homeroom and threw up. Oh my god. Kevin said the N-word a lot. Kevin was white. The high school was 84% black. Kevin got beat up a lot.
Oh my god.
Kevin stole another student's iPhone and tried to sell it back to them. Kevin didn't understand that his grade was dependent on tests, quizzes, homework, classwork, and participation. Kevin finished his first semester with a 3% average. He tried to bribe me with $11. Oh, God. Okay. Kevin spat on a girl and said, "You should get out of those white clothes." The girl was the Spanish student teacher. Kevin didn't know dogs and cats were different animals.
What?
I think it's like when you're a kid and you think dogs are like all guys and cats are all girls. Like when you're like 4 years old. Kevin tried to download porn onto a computer in the library at the circulation desk while he was logged on. Kevin asked a girl to prom. He was in 9th grade and freshmen don't go to prom, by asking for her phone number and then texting her his address. Kevin got gum in his hair constantly. Kevin regularly tried to cheat on assignments by knocking the pile over. grabbing one before I'd pick them all up and then writing his name on it wherever there was room. Kevin had several allergies, but neither his parents nor he could remember what they were. They were very concerned that the holiday party, it's high school, we don't have those, would have peanuts. When they finally got a doctor's note, he was allergic to amoxicillin. Kevin and his parents took a trip to Nassau. How the fuck did they even get airline tickets? And forgot all their luggage at home. I didn't believe him when he told me until I talked to his mom, who told me first thing when I saw her at the bi-weekly meeting. Oh my god. Kevin's grandfather apparently died in a chainsaw accident. I can only assume God was looking the other way that day.
Good God.
That's the end of the Kevin thread, guys.
Oh my god.
It's one of the most famous comments on Reddit, and it never fails to make me laugh.
That's so funny.
Yeah. It's just wild to think about, like, any of those things happening.
I can picture a lot of kids who did one.
That's what I mean.
To
yeah,
three of those
and
things.
I think that's why that makes the story hit so hard. Is you can imagine, like, one idiot in your high school has done some of those things, but then you try to like superimpose doing everything, and you try to like form a picture of a human being in your brain, and like what kind of
it's barely a human being.
Yeah, exactly. And like what she was saying, or he was saying at the beginning, or whatever, just about it being like intergenerational, where like no one in the family knew what the fuck was going on, like. Because you also know like dumb kids with like smart parents or whatever, but there's just like a family of numbskulls who just like managed to fumble their way through life.
Existence. Yeah.
Okay, so I just thought we'd start off on a lighter note. I think now we're gonna spin it into Nick, who's going to explain to us. Oh, to explain the game, just in case you're tuning in for the first time, we wrote down a bunch of topics on note cards. We threw them in a bucket. And you get to pull 2 of them and pick which topic you want to explain. And if you hate both of the topics, you can pick a third and final topic. So Nick this week was given 5 minutes to study and prepare to give us a 10-minute presentation about MSNBC.
Our beloved.
So without further ado, Nick, let's see. We'll put you on the clock. Maklain, you want to put him on the clock?
Yep. Alrighty. If I can figure out how to work my phone. All right.
On the clock.
10 minutes.
10 minutes. All right.
So, Nick, what do you know about MSNBC?
Well, let's set the scene first here.
Okay.
All right. So the year is 1995.
The year of our Lord, 1995.
1995. The tech boom is in its mid-thrust. It's going, it's getting bigger and bigger out of nowhere. The reliance on cable news as a provider for information is higher than it's ever been. Because, network news, there's still kind of an avoidance of punditry. They didn't want to lead people astray to...
Neutral parties.
Yeah, they wanted to be neutral, which is all still BS. There was always still kind of some kind of angle.
You're telling me that Bill O'Reilly's show is not the No Spin Zone? You're
We're
trying to tell me that's not the No Spin Zone, Nick?
We're getting there.
Okay.
We're getting there.
All right.
But
I was always told it was the No Spin Zone.
So prior to 1996, I guess, 1995 and before, all news was the spin zone. So now we have the no spin zone.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, they all had to kind of hide behind this veneer of objectivity, basically coming from a neutral standpoint, a conscientious observer of an outside angle on any topic. And people they started to realize that they could gather more eyes for advertisers if they played to their biases.
True.
So in 1996, the rumblings around the ownership class of America, specifically around GE, Microsoft, who are the 2 largest sharers of NBC Universal, which covers NBC, CNBC, NBC Business, and then our lovely MSNBC.
Yeah.
And what happened was in 1996, as these companies were kind of consolidating this power and figuring out what each kind of network is going to provide, CNN was the only cable news network.
Yeah.
And people saw them as having that same issue of the neutrality effect, where they were limited in scope by what they could cover, what they could portray, and all this kind of stuff with that. Yeah. So, to consolidate this power, Microsoft spent $220 million to get the off the ground the MSNBC network. Now, MSNBC is a combination of MSN and NBC. Yeah, I didn't know that either. Yeah. I always was like,
that makes a lot of sense.
I guess CNBC makes sense, and all these other ones make sense, but I never understood why there were so many letters. But MSN and NBC combined, get rid of the double N, you have MSNBC. And they started out with a couple of people that they pulled from a few different places. Brian Williams pulled from NBC to MSNBC to headline their new nightly news program. Soledad O'Brien.
Okay.
Keith Olbermann moved from ESPN over to the news to start doing that. That was, I guess, his origin story there. But what quickly happened was that these companies realized that they could create ownership in Fox and create ownership in MSNBC and steal polarized voting blocks and very religiously, zealotly kind of behavior towards finding one source. And as soon as you could find one source...
it turns out people like living in their bubbles.
Yes, exactly.
That's
if you can become a one source...
they've done studies about that online where most people delete their conservative friends so they don't have to hear their bullshit.
Yeah. It's
or the conservatives delete their liberal friends because they don't want to hear their bullshit.
Exactly.
And people like their bubbles.
And this class... And the whole point of this is kind of that, the MSNBC, the Fox, and the CNN... they're all part of the same ownership. Yeah. GE holds the highest stake number in all 3 of those networks for most of their existence. Yeah. So pretty much what they're doing is that they're trying to create a window of acceptable beliefs. Yeah. Called The Overton window.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
So basically, this is if any of you have read into Chomsky's idea of consent being manufactured, it means that we have a false choice given to us, a choice between MSNBC, where representation matters, and center left socially beneficial policies, you know, stuff like
for
that.
the greater good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of these ideas. This is the radical left.
Yeah.
If you're allowed kind of the frame that they are handing you.
Yeah.
That's the radical left. Is
Yeah.
Rachel
In their
Maddow?
opinion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Rachel
I thought you were
Maddow?
saying they
Yeah.
are, and I was like,
This is the
Yeah.
radical far left.
Yeah.
And then they engineered a far right of acceptable talking points in Fox News, which really actually walked the
far
line
right.
to being
Yeah.
far right at the
Yeah.
beginning and has now shifted to there is a major, like, the Venn diagram between the far right and Fox News is like a circle. It's really close.
Yeah. Well, and also I think in Fox News especially, it depends on the host.
Exactly.
It's like, the hosts are given more freedom, just like, oh, you're courting the racist? Cool.
Exactly,
And,
because
oh, you're like the guy who's center right? Cool.
Yeah. Because the far right is like, I mean, you got to be far right in business, and also you have to be somewhat of a race or culture kind of critic as well.
Get the religious people, get the...
And Fox News checks both of those boxes. Basically, the only shift further to the right that you can get is to say that it's the Jews' fault.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the only line they don't cross.
Yeah.
So you're given an Overton window that stretches from the last sliver of the farthest right you can be politically to basically an inch left of center.
Yeah.
And that's the Overton window.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it's just been propped up like that ever since these interests have carried over.
Cool.
I mean, the idea that someone like Bernie Sanders would be loved and adored by MSNBC would make sense in a world where that is the you're positing a left populist progressive network. I mean, it would make sense just neutrality wise. But there's nothing beneficial about a Bernie Sanders presidency to the ownership class.
I wonder too that's a really good argument, but I wonder too if it's like a knowing where your bread is buttered kind of thing. Because Fox was really against Trump until it was obvious Trump was going to win, and then they became like the Trump News Network.
Yeah.
You know? They realized like, oh shit.
The intifada has happened.
Yeah, exactly.
We've been usurped.
Yeah, we've been usurped, and if we don't go along with it, like we're gonna lose our status. Yeah.
And there's also just levels of flack that you'll get, and flack from people higher up in those networks is going to lead you to less and less coverage as you begin to further and further distance yourself from the interests of them directly.
True.
So yeah, it's basically a false idea of a populist progressive future in MSNBC, a visionless kind of fake air of just, human goodwill. And when you juxtapose it to Fox News, it certainly appears that way. Like, at first glance, you see those things and you see, like, sure, there's anger on both sides and they hate each other more than they hate the outsiders that aren't within that class. But, you cross those lines and you'll really hear it. I mean, whether that's from the listenership, whether they will, boycott advertisers, whether any of these things are going to happen, we're already too late. I mean, it's a weaponized part of our culture. There is no such thing as there being an objective journal in any form already, but MSNBC sheds the veneer, essentially,
being
for
objective,
the left.
I think doesn't exist. Also,
it's a widely thought of as a.
You can attempt to be objective, but you still have whatever biases.
What's the new version of it? It's not neutrality and it's not objectivity. It's impartiality. Yes, that's the new version of objectivity, because any scholar will tell you, honestly, most journalists can tell you that objectivity doesn't exist. Yeah. There's a subjective element to
opinions of
everything. You see something through your lens always. Mm-hmm. So there's an impossible setup of that. But with Fox News and MSNBC, it kind of, like I said, it sheds the veil. Slowly and slowly, it's been shedding the veil of it, especially being kind of, juxtaposed with internet options that have kind of blossomed the last 10 years. People don't go to those networks for their news anymore.
No.
Essentially, all they're
People
trying to
found
do.
better bubbles.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like you don't have
a
to
more direct bubble.
Exactly.
And usually
And a
the ones
narrower
that-
bubble. I feel
yeah,
like,
yeah,
'cause then
exactly.
you don't even have to hear opinions like
slightly
yeah,
non-adjacent
yeah,
to
exactly,
yours. Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. You can.
If you're part of like the racist right, you could be there. If you're part of like the socialist left, you could be there. If you're part of like the libertarian left, you could be just in the libertarian left.
Yeah.
You know, like
You wanna only listen to like tanky pro-Soviet jerk-off propaganda? Go
Yeah.
for it. If
Yeah.
you want
Right.
to,
what I did last night.
dress up in Nazi garb and every night before you go to bed and sleep with a furry, like that's
Yeah.
all you. There's
yeah,
a whole
there's people who
didn't
are like
do
that.
that.
Yeah.
there is a whole there's a whole subreddit. There's probably a whole 4chan or 8chan for you. Like
Yep.
the decentralization of the impact of our news is a positive and negative thing, but MSNBC led the charge.
All
That's
right.
it.
Well, thank you for filling us in on it.
Yeah.
MSNBC, Nick.
That's the news.
And then I think Maklain's gonna hit us next,
All right.
letting us know about the great state of Florida.
Florida.
Okay, so a couple episodes ago, I started this little segment called Florida Man.
Florida
And
Man.
This is where I have 10 news articles, and I just read the title. We bang through them, and if
Yeah.
you guys have any questions, I guess we'll deep dive into them. But here we go. So, starting off, Florida man runs away from cops, stops to pet cats, and gets caught while doing it. So he would have got away, but he stopped to pet some cats, and they caught him.
Let that man go.
Right, that's the kind of kind criminal. Okay, he's still got a heart in there somewhere. Yeah. Oh man.
Florida man repeatedly offers to show IHOP patrons his genitals and then steals donuts.
IHOP has donuts. That's like the biggest news to me in that headline.
Wait, what?
I guess.
Give me all your donuts or I'll show you my
Yeah.
dick.
Florida man says he decided to wash his sheets for the first time in 4 years because of coronavirus.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's. Oh god.
I just am picturing someone like sticking to the sheets as they
Yeah.
like sit up. Like, how
Oh
do
god.
you not have like an outline of the shape of your body? Like just
Well, he
like
does, and he just washed them, not knowing that he probably murdered all the little friends he made that live in his
Oh
bed
my
now.
goodness. That's rough, man. There's
All
nothing
right.
better than like freshly showered, hopping in clean sheets, going to bed. You know, that's a great
It's the
feeling.
best feeling on the planet.
It's like I'm clean, my bed's clean, this is all
Mhm.
clean, this is great.
It's like starting
yeah.
a road trip with a
Yeah.
washed car and a full tank of gas.
Yeah, you're ready,
Yeah,
man. Ready
yeah.
to take on the day.
Nothing better. All right. Florida congressman wears gas mask during congressional vote to address new coronavirus.
Devin, was that Nunez?
No, it was Matt Gaetz.
Oh, it was Matt Gates.
Gaetz.
Yeah,
Gaetz.
it was Gates. I knew it was one of those douchebags. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then I
and
think
it's not even just like a gas mask. It looks like some shit you'd wear to like.
well, this was the
Like a
funny thing about
tactical
that.
gas
Like
mask,
meltdown.
yeah.
he did this as like a joke, making fun of the coronavirus, and then someone had got infected in his like hometown, and he had to put on his congressman's hat and was like, "This is serious. We should. this is not a joke. Like, we should be doing everything in our power to stop this." And it was just like, bro, like 3 days ago,
this
you were
was
making
you.
fun of the
Yeah.
virus. Yeah. And then he was like, "Oh fuck, people are actually getting sick in my district. Maybe I should stop being a douchebag."
Oh man.
Florida boy mistakenly sprays himself with pepper spray in a school gym, sends 40 others to hospital.
Oh my god.
Sends 40 other kids
That's
to
what it
hospital.
said.
I've gotten hit with pepper spray. You don't need to go to the hospital. Like,
Like, depending on how old he was. You know, if it's a bunch of
I
like
guess.
9-year-olds that got pepper sprayed, they're just like, school's be like, we need to take
That
him
does.
to
I was
hospital.
gonna say that does seem like something you could handle. I
yeah.
mean, I guess
I
you
mean,
probably.
it hurts.
I think maybe it's the sheer numbers. The fact
Oh,
that
or
they
maybe
were
it's the
taking care of
liability.
40 of them.
Or the liability of just being like, well, we
Anything,
took them.
yeah, like-
Because if you don't take them and then
and one
like,
of them like loses part of their vision,
or
and-
something,
yeah.
that open yourself up to them lawsuits.
Florida man leaves crushed water bottle in store after stealing $3 million in gold and jewelry. Cops use it to track him to California, where he's already in jail.
That's a lot of golden jewelry, man.
It
3
really
million?
is.
That's a good heist.
Big, yeah.
Way to go, man.
Florida man sucks sleeping elderly woman's toes in hospital, goes to
Oh.
jail.
Ooh.
I think last podcast on the left talked about that. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah.
Like even not an elderly person or
Yeah.
someone who's not in like why
I think
why
there
toes?
was. I think there was
Come
a
on.
story a couple months ago of someone who was just breaking into people's houses and like suckling on their toes.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Ugh.
like random people. Yeah,
That like I've said a lot of times that something sounds like the worst possible existence, but think about like the only thing that gets you going is
Yeah,
having
sucking
like,
on people's
foot
toes.
in your mouth. Like, ugh.
I don't really.
Think
I'd-
about
I'd
waking
I'd
up
be
to
a
some
furry. I'd be a furry before
stranger
then.
Yeah.
sucking your toes.
Wouldn't your immediate instinct just be like kick your foot though? Like I
Yeah.
feel like that guy would get nailed in the face constantly.
I'm sure he has. Oh,
yeah,
I'm sure.
maybe that's part of the fetish.
Yeah, I gotta bleed a little.
Yeah,
for it to-
exactly. Yeah,
Gotta
I like
taste some
getting
feet,
kicked in the
and then
nose
get-
after I taste some feet.
All right. Florida man upset at nurses sets fire to hospital bed.
What? To his own hospital bed?
I guess.
It's actually a pretty baller move.
What? You want a death on your hand? Get in here.
I'll burn this place down, starting with my bed.
This one isn't necessarily too crazy. It's definitely the most mild of all of them. But Florida woman amasses collection of more than 21,000 banana labels. It's like the little stickers on bananas.
Like the little
Did you make like a
Chiquita
sweet
sticker?
little ball of it?
No, it's just like scrapbooks.
It's like a book of it.
She has two books sitting on the table here and just a pile of like
What
stickers.
a
she's
waste of paper.
scrapped.
Okay, I think we need to deep dive into that one.
Yes.
'Cause
Okay.
wh-
Let me read one more and then we'll
what's
deep
the
dive.
impetus there? What like
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I get most collecting,
Yeah.
but I don't get that collecting.
Florida man arrested after mooning diners at restaurant. What?
Classic fun.
Yeah, that could just be drunk antics.
Yeah.
If you see
Who
a
hasn't mooned a
70-year-old
diner? Come on.
If you see a 7-year-old digging through a trash can for discarded banana peels in Florida, you may have spotted one of the world's most unique collectors.
Aren't they mostly the same sticker? Aren't they like
Like,
all the
most-
Chiquita
I think
banana
you got like
things?
one Chiquita sticker, and like
Yeah.
what else is there? Like
Right? Maybe they changed over the years. I don't, or maybe it's like
those slight evolutions
Yeah.
of the logo that you see.
like that's why I can kind of understand like stamp collecting because there's like a million different
There's
stamps,
lots of different
you know?
kinds.
But
Some
like
actually hold some value.
yeah, exactly.
But what if
some
it's just
expensive
what if she's
stamps
just a
out
loyalist? It's all
All
Chiquitas. Yeah.
Fuck
Just a
don't.
big
Maybe.
Chiquita
Yeah.
fan.
Does it explain what got her into it?
It kind of does. Becky of Orlando has spent the past 29 years collecting and cataloging, more than 21,000 banana labels from around the world.
Oh.
This hobby has taken her to Germany, Costa Rica, and Ecuador, where she's met fellow collectors and picked up random banana peels.
This ties back to what we were saying. You can find a weird
Any
community.
niche.
Anything.
Well, like, where do you run into someone who's collecting banana? Like,
I think before the internet existed, she wouldn't have ran into a single goddamn person.
I mean, I guess you could have found it, but it sounded like she was like traveling the world,
traveling the
and like
world.
was like in Berlin
You like
and
banana
sees someone
stickers
peeling a
too?
banana sticker and like putting it in a
Yeah.
book, and they look over and there's someone else like looking for bananas.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
I also
hello.
get when it said she was like digging through trash cans for peeled bananas.
Yeah.
Like, do you just like assume there's probably one down there, or like do you follow people
nasty
around
hobby.
who like bought a
Waiting
banana?
for
Just,
people to-
waiting for them to eat it and throw out the peel. Like,
What makes them so special to me is that they are meant to be thrown away. For some reason, that makes them even more precious to me. I have
that's sad.
I have rescued many labels from the trash
rescued.
who hurt you?
Oh.
Or
Someone hurt
a
her.
banana peel on the ground. I feel sad when I see someone has thrown away a peel with a label still on it, so I rescue it.
Someone hurt this woman.
This is
She has banana labels that date back to the 1960s,
okay. See, now that's kind of cool.
and yeah, it's got a little.
Kind of cool.
It's got a little picture here that has like a couple different ones that she has, and I've never seen any of them. So
So I guess there are different brands all
I
around
guess
the globe.
there are, yeah. Yeah, so she first noticed how unique banana labels were in 1991. And she was restocking her fruit bowl when she saw the old dull banana labels from Guatemala, and the new ones were from Honduras. And then it kind of just blossomed from there.
All right. I mean, you can't fault. I mean, whatever gets you going in the morning. I don't know. If it's Chiquita bananas or banana peel stickers. I mean,
Oh man, that's wild.
wherever you can find your light in this cruel world.
Shout out to Chiquita. Chiquita is responsible for tens of thousands of deaths in Latin America.
That's where the term Banana Republic came from.
Yep.
Was overthrowing governments so you
So
could
you
grow
could-
more
yep.
bananas.
Yep.
It's unclear exactly how many collectors there are around the world, but she estimates that there might be 25 in the U.S., roughly 50 in Asia, and 200 in Central and South America.
Wow.
That's kind of a interesting.
This is just an important topic to remember, listeners. If you're a weird beard, there's other weird beards like you.
Yeah.
You're not that
You're not
weird.
alone.
You're not alone. Unless you're into some sick shit, then
Yeah.
get some help. But this is like a healthy hobby, you know? She's traveling. She's following her passion. It might be weird, but...
She could be downloading child porn off the dark web, and instead she just likes banana stickers. So don't fault this.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's what I'm
Florida
saying.
hero.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
This is the longest article. Like
That's
it
how
goes
can you
into
write
like
that much
type
on
A
that?
and type B banana label collectors.
That's actually pretty cool that they did like a deep dive. I
Like,
love when they
it's
do
like a
deep dives into weird
dive,
shit.
Like,
I just what's the ceiling for that community though? Like,
yeah, I mean,
how many people around the globe, even with 7.5 billion
anything
people,
I have to
like,
put in a book, I'm not gonna do.
No.
I could throw some pennies in a jar. I could see that.
Yeah.
I don't really see collecting.
oh, and she's hopeful that she can find, the best label, like the cream of the
The
crop. The
label.
label
What is the
she
creme
wants
of
to
the
find.
creme?
In 1980, Chiquita printed some labels with the mascot of the Summer Olympics. And the U.S. boycotted the Summer Olympics due to the Soviet-Afghan War, so labels were never sent to the U.S. So she says, a few escaped destruction. I don't have it yet, but I'm ever hopeful.
That's the only way they would escape destruction if there was some other banana sticker collector, right? Like I don't.
It just sits around.
Yeah,
Like,
it's in like a dump somewhere, or like I
yeah.
I don't really get how it works. I might actually want to read that article.
Yeah,
like
it's-
kind of.
There's a lot of unanswered questions
Yeah.
here.
I'm proud of her, whoever she is, though. You found your hobby, you followed it, you found your passion project, and I think on that note, I'm gonna spin us into shout outs.
Cool.
Shout outs.
Shout outs.
Who's going first? You wanna go first?
Yeah, sure. You might as well.
All right.
Maklain just airdropped me the banana article. Oh, she does look like a sweet old lady.
Doesn't she just looks like
Yeah.
the sweetest little lady on the face
She
of the
looks
earth?
like a sweet woman. You know, she found a hobby. That's cool.
This isn't a good shout out, but I'm going to mention it because
Okay.
it's very scary. But some Thai people were caught ironing hundreds of used face masks so they can resell them to people trying to avoid the coronavirus.
Oh my gosh.
So somehow, I guess they went to they got
Can
them
we
in a
not?
hospital, but they just found a bunch of used face masks and they like washed them in the washing machine and ironed them and sold them as new.
You know, this might just be the world's best viral marketing campaign for Tide Pods. All you gotta do is throw in the wash. You got the corona gone. Tide. You do you.
Oh my gosh, yeah, they could turn around 300 to 400 masks a day, and they were making some bank.
You know? Ingenuity, entrepreneurship. No American would iron 300 masks. So. I'm just kidding. That's disgusting. I can't. Also, another fun fact was just I think Amazon had to shut down a bunch of retailers these past couple weeks because they were like illegally profiteering on masks, like that used to sell for like $10 for a pack of 50.
Facebook took down
Would be like
ads for face
it would be like
masks,
$500 for a pack of 50.
Fuck.
Yeah, and they would just be like N95, perfect for keeping out the
You
corona.
know the crazy thing is though?
Yeah.
I went to I was sitting here, I didn't have much to do, so I was curious to know what the different specifications on masks are.
N95,
Yeah, so it's 95,
99.
99, and there's one that's 85.
Yeah.
All the EU has a different way of grading them and stuff like that. So I was curious what would you need, and 95 does a fine job.
95,
But
yeah.
I was looking around and I was like, okay, I want to price some of these out, and they
Yeah.
are outrageous. Just
Yeah.
the little face mask, with the
Yeah.
elastic band. But you can still go to Home Depot and buy a respirator
Yeah.
that works better, seals around your face
Yeah.
for the same price.
So I think one of the things I was reading about this
haven't gone up. Like,
yeah, one of the things I was reading
people
about
just
this
haven't
too
realized that.
is just a lot of these masks only work if you like know how to get them to like correctly seal on your face, because it's not just like when you go to the hospital and just like slap one over your mouth. They were saying those are basically to prevent sick people from spreading it, but it doesn't keep things from coming in.
They're originally made for like surgeons and stuff, so you don't spit in someone's like. You have their chest cavity
so
open,
to stop things from going out, but it doesn't stop things from going
nothing.
in.
It
To
just
stop things
goes
from going in,
right around
yeah,
the side.
exactly. You have to have like a perfectly sealed mask.
If you have any facial hair at all, with even a like a full-on respirator, it won't
just go
work.
under it.
It'll go right under it. So you see people,
So y'all are fucked.
Tons of people walking around with just the really basic surgical masks.
Just a quick Corona hit that I was just thinking about to myself earlier today.
Give me a hit of that Corona.
Okay, so they're saying this is 20 times deadlier than the flu.
Mm-hmm.
I have never once in my life been concerned about dying from the flu. Yeah. So 20 times 0 is still 0.
Boom.
So I should not be concerned about the coronavirus
Quick maths.
at all. Yeah. Like I'm not that concerned.
Well, it's
I think I'm more afraid about
and
I'm more afraid about the crisis
the reaction
caused by
to it.
Caused by this being a crisis.
We're in a very volatile economic spot just because of the speculation of a disease.
Exactly.
Like,
I had someone tell me here Costco sold out of toilet paper in 13 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You know how hard it is to sell someone a custom item that comes from China right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hard.
Every single person is making jokes about anything that comes from China. Yeah, so all right. Well, let's pass the shout outs to Nick.
All right, I've got a good shout out, just a little like historical one that was pretty cool. Shout out to Betty Robinson, 1931 Olympic runner. She was involved in a plane crash in 1931, was wrongly pronounced dead upon first being discovered. She then spent 7 months in a coma, took 2 years to learn how to walk normally again, but by 1936 she rejoined the U.S. Olympic relay team and took home the gold medal.
What a bad bitch. God.
Yeah.
Coma, lost the ability to walk at all, and then relearned Olympic level.
It's perfect.
Fast.
It's International Women's Day, isn't it?
Yeah. So shout out.
Doesn't it just make you feel even worse when you hear things
No,
like
I
this?
was literally thinking like, I couldn't get to that position once. She did it
I
twice.
run a mile right now. Jeez.
I'm running like a 12.5-minute mile.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you sprint for 30 seconds, walk for a minute and a half, and then you'll get there in 15 minutes. Oh, man. It does show what humans can accomplish if we're not just lazy fucks our whole lives.
Yeah, so shout out Betty Robinson, better than we could be, doing it twice.
Right, way to go, Betty. Okay, I guess it heads to me. I'm going to shout out the podcast It Could Happen Here, which is all about whether we could possibly see the next American Civil War.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, and he basically, I think it's like 10 episodes or something like that. And the host, shout out to Robert Evans, who compiled this whole thing. And he basically approaches, good dude, and he approaches like how it could be caused from like the right side or the left side.
I mean, it'll have to be an interplay.
Or an interplay, yeah, exactly. And like how the state would react and try to strike down those things. And it's just like, I think one of the most salient points he made was in one of the episodes. He talked about a guy who, he was like essentially a neo-Nazi in Portland, and he stabbed a few people, and he said like this is the start of the
Patriot
revolution.
prayer or whatever.
Patriot prayer.
Yeah.
So I think the best point that Robert made was that like whether or not you think the next Civil War could happen, there's people who think it's actively happening currently,
and they've been doing it for years.
Exactly.
They're waiting for the rest of us to join.
Exactly. There are people who think it's already going, and they're just waiting for us to catch on.
Yep.
So I think I just wanted to shout it out. Then we've also talked about this a lot before. Of like, is it possible, or how would it happen? Could it happen anytime soon? Like,
well, I like the way he introduces that too, where he goes in and he brings up like the Heather Heyer murder and talks about how like it only takes maybe 1 to 3 more of those type of events, and one of them not dealing with an indictment or a charge on the person who did it. That would be it. Yeah. For the left, like the left would be permanently radicalized. Yeah. And there'd be violence.
Or if like there's already violence, just most of the times people are sticking to like melee damage. But if people start working in guns and stuff, like you've seen videos
or tools, and vehicles.
Well, you've seen videos where like Antifa and like I don't know, like the far right protesters like hit each other with bats and they have like weird riot shields and shit. But like a lot of those same people have assault rifles. Like, is it going to come to a point where I think all it takes is like one or two people decide, okay, this rally is now a war. I also think another one that he really dove deep on was, you guys remember Christopher Dorner?
Oh yeah.
He had an episode all about like how like the police would react in a situation like this, and he essentially brings up the argument like, imagine if like Black Lives Matter is protesting in like New York and kind of like shutting down the city, and at the same time there's like a sniper randomly targeting NYPD officers.
Yeah,
like the police might kind of tie those two ideas together and be like, we can't catch this guy because the protesters are like hindering our ability, and like he's just able to slip in and out of crowds and stuff like that. So we have to stop all the protests.
Massive crowd control.
Massive
no
crowd
one
control. Stop all the
streets,
protests so that we could find this cop killer.
And then that would not go well. You couldn't just clear out a street.
Exactly.
You can't just clear out a protest.
Yeah, so I just wanted to shout him out real quick because I listened to it probably about like a year and a half ago, and our friend group started talking about this recently, and so I started listening to it again. But yeah, really great podcast. It Could Happen Here by Robert Evans.
Yeah, great first season.
Yeah, you guys should really check it out.
Has he done another season yet?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, that first season was really, really good.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, first about halfway through it, and it's fantastic.
It is fantastic.
Like, and he even talks about myths too, about what people like dismiss about it. People are like, well, the left is too anti-gun and too pacifist, and they're gonna, that it'll just never be a two-way fight. But he talks about like since 2006, 2008, whenever it was, gun ownership
skyrocketed in both sides.
And liberal and left-leaning people with guns are basically to the same level of gun ownership, same percentage of people who own guns.
The
only
right
difference
just owns more.
There's more guys that have 30 guns rather than someone who has 2 guns.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it would be a fucking shit show.
Yeah.
And let's hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. He also he had like a great perspective too, that like there's certain areas that control like a shit ton of water or like a shit ton of food, and it's like one small militia group could shut down like the food supply to like the western United States.
Oh yeah, or unified rural front.
Yeah, exactly.
That we'd be fucked.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a unified farmers union of like populists in the U.S.? Like it would just shut that shit down. Yeah.
So I think we'll call that on the shout outs, and we're gonna spin it into our second half topic. And I think I'll introduce this topic too, just because I had like kind of a paradigm shift earlier in this week where we've been laughing and joking a lot about like Biden's dementia, and I kind of shifted from it being funny to it's just kind of sad now. Like
kind of sad.
Yeah, no, I mean it's very sad to me now. Like I got kind of sick of myself like laughing at 80-year-old man with dementia, and so yeah, I just think it's kind of brutal that our choice is down to him, Bernie, who's also like 77, and Trump, who's like, what, 76?
Mm-hmm.
Like, why do I have to vote between 3 octogenarians?
Yeah.
But anyway, Nick, you want to play us that clip of Biden's newest flub, and then we can just talk about this topic overall?
Turn this primary from a campaign that's about negative attacks into one about what we're for, because we cannot get reelected. We cannot win this reelection. Excuse me. We can only reelect Donald Trump.
Yeah,
that was bad.
Yeah,
he just.
I mean, you can see the point in that where like he was probably reading the teleprompter. He lost his place on the teleprompter, and then he tried to fill it in with just like off the cuff, and his brain just couldn't react.
No,
just didn't put
more
the
than
pieces
likely
together in
he was
time.
Supposed to say, we can only win this reelection.
Exactly.
Donald Trump cannot win. Something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And somehow that morphed into we can only reelect Donald Trump.
Exactly.
We won't win.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with this shift, I think it's like it's not that we're not going to pretend like MSNBC or CNN that this isn't happening, but the cruelty behind joking about a dying man just losing his grip on reality
it loses its fun after a while.
And even if it didn't lose its fun, it's just that like tactically, I think we can point these out in a way that is sympathetic to Biden. And
this is something,
and like John says it best, like he should be enjoying his time with his kids.
Yeah, he should be home with his family, enjoying whatever time he has left, not trying to run like a national campaign and one of the biggest elections. Now I do think
that is speeding up this. I mean, he isn't getting near enough sleep.
I do think in like a certain way.
Very stressful.
Biden probably doesn't think anything's wrong with himself because I've seen that happen before, where like someone with dementia just doesn't acknowledge it.
Most of us have.
Yeah, and I think he also probably deeply regrets not running in 2016 because he probably genuinely believes he could have beat Donald Trump.
And he might have.
He might have had a
point.
shot.
Yeah.
He might still have a shot. We might talk about that, but yeah, I think there's a part of him who regrets his actions, and now he's trying to like fix it, but he's in a much worse mental place. Now, in fairness, this argument's going to be made about all three top candidates. I've seen quotes about like Bernie has his gaffes. I would argue they're in deeply different ways, but he does have his gaffes, and I have seen some far right people say he's going crazy, and I have seen a lot of far left people say, what is it, that Trump probably has untreated syphilis, and so he has brain rot, and he's going crazy too. Like, no, this is genuinely a topic from all sides of the aisle right now.
I haven't heard
everyone's
that one.
accusing every other guy of having dementia and dying, and this is what happens when everyone who's the front runner or a leader in this race is above 75 years old. Like, can we not? Like, I don't. It's wild to me, and I think there was so much fear in this election because we were sold the idea that like Donald Trump is the worst thing that could ever happen to America. All that matters is beating him. Nothing else fucking matters at all. That people are just like so frightened they're trying to go with whatever they think the safest bet is, which is either Biden or Bernie. But I don't fundamentally think those were the safest bets, or like especially Biden in particular.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you guys think on any of this?
Well, I mean, I think Biden's electability actually comes from a different place, or lack of electability comes from a different place than his gaffes or his dementia or what you know, just his overall kind of loss of lucidity.
Yeah.
I think it's more that
You could just say cognitive slowdown for any of them. Though, 'cause even if you would argue like Biden's is to the highest degree, you could look at videos of all of them from 10 years ago, and they're
so
very
they're
different
much
people.
sharper. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
But that's what happens when you're going on 80 years old. Like, this is wild. Why are we picking between 3 80-year-olds?
like Trump was much sharper in 2016. I mean, he wasn't a genius, but he was fast.
Yeah.
He thought
He
quick
could
on his
react.
feet. He made jokes about the crowd booing him at the debates. He said, "That's all of Jeb's funders right there. That's all of Jeb's donors right there in the front row." And stuff like that. Then they booed louder, and he's like, "Yep, you hear him? You hear him?" And like it played well.
Yeah.
He skyrocketed from there. Like he doesn't have those moments now. He's just
he
not
doesn't.
there. But I think he will still beat Joe because he'll do what he did with Hillary, and he'll actually outflank her left on issues that affect
Social
older
Security,
voters.
Medicare.
Exactly. Medicare,
Also, the
Medicaid,
magic of Trump's power is he can say things and do the
just
complete
not-
opposite.
exactly.
And
No one will hold him
No one
accountable.
will hold him accountable.
No one will care.
Yeah.
You think they care? Fox News covered positively the fact that he was saying he was going to protect their Social Security, and when he went back on that, they were just like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, of
why
course
would
we're gonna
we
make some
want to
cuts.
protect Social Security?
Yeah.
He did what he
It's
had
going to
to
go
do.
bankrupt
Yeah,
anyway. We gotta
exactly,
make some cuts.
exactly. So he's going to be able to just outmaneuver Biden
Yeah.
so well, outtrade on everything. On climate, he has an F from the Sunrise Movement. Donald
Yeah.
Trump even has a D.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
come
that's
on,
funny.
like literally, like he can outflank Joe Biden anywhere politically.
And me and Nick talked about this earlier in the week, but I think it's going to come down to a question of how sick of Trump are people.
Yeah.
Because I don't think if Biden is the leader this time, and if he's the nominee, like
It's like, is the taste
I
of
don't
Trump
think-
as bad in my mouth to
exactly.
get me off my chair and
I don't
go
think
vote?
almost anyone's voting pro Biden. They're voting
anti-Trump. Yeah.
And are there enough people who are sick of Trump to stay home, and enough people who are sick of Trump to go to the polls?
Yeah. What
That-
was it in states where Biden was winning in the polls after he won South Carolina before Super Tuesday? They polled people, and in any state he was winning, 70% of respondents who voting for any candidate said that their number one issue was beating Donald Trump.
Exactly.
And like 26% said ideological issues.
Yeah, exactly.
Like people
no
aren't.
one cares.
No
It's
one
just the
cares.
fear.
Yeah.
And I also want to bring up the fact that Donald Trump is not the worst this can get. We've talked about this before. It could get so much worse, people.
could.
Honestly,
So
Bloomberg
much
would have been a worse pivot.
Bloomberg would have been worse. Impeaching Trump is a terrible idea because if you succeed, you get Mike Pence.
get Pence,
Mike
and-
Pence would be worse.
If they had got it done pre-election, it would have been a great move.
Yeah.
It would have been a great move because Pence can't win an election.
No, Pence could never win an election.
But walking into the office without having to do anything, he would take those reins and run with it, dude.
Yeah.
He would go so far.
Yeah.
He would Dick Cheney the hell out of this.
Yeah, he's like essentially for like a religious theocracy.
Yeah.
And that's who like we want to get rid of Donald Trump so bad we're gonna have Mike Pence be president. Like, no, I don't think that's a great idea.
Yeah. It's like he's literally like our Muhammad bin Salman, just some theocratic
exactly.
shitlord
No,
who
for
doesn't
sure.
care about
He
anyone's
has
well-being.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, things can get so much worse, but that the media was selling this for so long that Donald Trump is the worst. Donald Trump is the worst president we could possibly ever have. All that matters is voting him out.
Mm-hmm.
That now that's what like your average electorate fears.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do we want to go into some delegate math kind of game theory game out the rest of this primary for the next little bit here?
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely do that.
We got 10 minutes.
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Didn't you have one more thing, John?
What was it?
I forget.
I don't know.
I thought you said you had one more thing. All right, sorry. Let's do that.
One more time.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think that was mostly it. That I'm just I'm deeply saddened by what's happening to Biden.
Yeah.
And I just
the state of the race.
Just the state of the race overall. It's not great, and I think sadly this could be a very pivotal election.
And it's starting to look more and more like a Trump.
I think Trump gets 4 more years.
Yeah.
If I was going to call it at this point.
At this exact moment.
That
would be my bet.
I would call Trump gets 4 more years.
2 weeks ago, I would have said actually maybe only has a 30 or 40% chance of winning it.
Yeah.
But I think
2
he's
weeks ago, I probably would have said 55%.
He's got a
Bernie,
70% chance of winning it right now.
Yeah.
Bernie's momentum has to just be insane through the rest of the primary.
I don't think it
he
will.
has to. He would literally have to have either a majority of delegates to avoid a convention or just a huge lead by more than 6 points.
I think Bernie's too good of a person because he was trying to go anti-establishment without actually talking bad about the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
If he had how Donald Trump was basically if I'm not the nominee, my people are not voting for any of you fools.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just straight up.
And I think he tries to get to that
I'll
point
take my ball
without
and go
making
home.
it sound
Yeah,
like he's
Democrats
part of it.
hate that.
Because he wants to talk that down and say I will vote. I will be out there campaigning for everyone.
Yeah.
Anyone that makes the ticket. But realistically, he knows that the Chapo boys are going to be riding that train. They're going to be the Bernie or bust crowd. They're going to be leading people away from the polls for it. And it's honestly a real threat. And
I'd probably stay home. We're in Idaho. If it's Biden, we're not winning. He's not winning our state anyway. So
it's going to be.
And I have no energy to go vote for him.
Yeah,
I'd actually probably go out and vote because there's other people.
Yeah,
on the
down ballot
yeah,
I'd be voting, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't.
I'd probably just check his name. Just why not? But
I don't think I would. I think it might come down to I didn't check Hillary's name just cause I didn't want her to be president. I shouldn't vote for her.
Yeah.
It was just it's more a symbolic thing because I was at that point I was in California. She was gonna win either way, so what does it matter?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I would check Biden's name. I would definitely check Bernie's name. At least it's something.
Yeah.
I think it's a very similar to appeal to me that Trump has to the right. We're whatever. Maybe he fucks things up a little and something changes. Great.
Stir the pot. Let's
go.
Stir
the pot. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
Yeah.
Stir the pot. Whatever. Couldn't get worse.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it could, but not this way, not this direction.
Yeah, I don't think with Bernie it could get worse.
Yeah,
I don't see it happening that way. I think with Biden, essentially as a shell of his former self, that means someone else is running things from behind the scene. We're gonna get a Nancy Reagan-esque type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh man.
Yeah, it just makes me. I don't know. I fluctuate. The black pilled is why it's funny. And then you fluctuate back into, oh shit, I live here.
Yeah.
And it's not funny anymore. It's
I mean, I'm still pretty I will say that I'm a little bit black pilled.
Well, let's look at the thing because there's in 3 days there's the March 10th primary, 2 days.
Second Super Tuesday.
Primary states, and I know it's Idaho, Michigan, Mississippi,
Missouri, Washington. North Dakota, I think.
It's one of the Dakotas, North Dakota, yeah. So Washington has 89 delegates. I think Bernie does well in Washington. I think sadly though, I think Biden will win Michigan, and I think that might be the kind of the turning point of this election in Biden's favor. I think Bernie really needs to overperform Michigan, and I don't know.
I think he'll squeak it out. I think Bernie will squeak it out, but
Michigan.
I don't think it'll be last time he was projected to lose and won by 20 points.
Yeah.
I think this time he'll probably win by 2 points. I think it'll be real close, and it could go to Biden because that's a toss up.
That's a toss up state. I agree. I mean, I think on the issues Bernie wins, but it doesn't seem like an on the issues kind of year.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Bernie voted against NAFTA, which cost their state 4 million jobs.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like people care.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, but I think Michigan is one of those few places that you can like directly like they have a more direct line to the way that trade affects them. So I think that's why last time he won so
That's
resoundingly. So I think that they see this as like.
But that's true of a lot of other Super Tuesday states that Biden won.
Like what's a more desperate state in the union right now than Michigan? There isn't one.
Maybe not.
The state is bankrupt. The city of Detroit is bankrupt. Flint still doesn't have clean water. I think that Michigan will go Bernie.
Okay, so let's say Michigan goes Bernie. I think Idaho will go Bernie.
Idaho went Bernie last time. They'll go Bernie.
I think because Boise,
it's
liberal.
just like Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Utah,
they can weigh it out.
Crushed with Bernie because like they just have
the liberal populist centers way outweigh the rural counties.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
By far.
Mississippi, I don't know anything about Mississippi.
I think
not
Mississippi's
much
going
polling,
Biden. It's going Biden.
Yeah, that's like deep south.
Missouri's going Biden.
Missouri, yeah. And then, but that's the thing. Okay, so you say
Washington's definitely going Bernie.
If we say Mississippi and Missouri are definitely going Bernie, and we say Michigan is going to be a close race, then North Dakota and Idaho, even if they go Bernie, are like the two smallest delegate math. Washington is big, but again, I don't think it'll be like a resounding win. I think
he'll crush there. Honestly, I think he'll be at least 5 to 8 points up.
5 points up. Okay,
yeah, that would be my guess.
I can see that.
Because I mean, with Western states, just Bernie generally just kills.
I think he would win Washington. I don't know, man. This feels close to me. Like, how did Biden didn't run in half of the states he won on Super Tuesday?
Yeah, he didn't have a ground game in Arkansas.
He didn't have a ground game. He didn't run ads,
yeah.
And somehow he won them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just like I think the threat of like. I don't think Donald Trump is honestly that threatening, but I think the threat the media sold to the American people of Donald Trump is very real.
Yeah.
Like as a media narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's how he can win states that he like wasn't even running in.
Yeah.
And like didn't have a campaign in, barely like has campaign rallies and stuff. And
Barry's friend.
Yeah.
It's just what they're voting
exactly,
for. Yeah.
Exactly. But I think that might be like a bigger momentum than we want to admit. It's just like I'm scared. They told me to be scared. I know this guy. He's a safe choice. I know Bernie is a radical in a good way.
I just think that I don't know. I think Oregon and Washington are in the bag for Bernie. If I had to say so, I think he'll definitely win. He might not get the margins that I predicted, but
I think Oregon.
I would
sure.
be
Washington.
highly surprised if either of those two states went Biden.
Okay.
I think I'm with you on that.
I think Idaho will go Bernie.
Idaho will go Bernie.
And then I think Michigan's the true toss-up. Missouri and Mississippi are locked in.
I think also the other wild card is like half of California's things like aren't counted, which are probably going to come back majority Sanders, which is why it still looks like Biden
close.
has a resounding lead, but they're basically tied right now.
Yeah, he's within I think 50 delegates or something like that.
Yeah, and then that's without like a shit ton of delegates from California.
Mm-hmm.
So
which he won by like 13
Barry,
points.
when do you think he's going to come out and
he's
endorse?
not. I don't think he is. I don't think he wants to ruin his legacy like that. What he's doing is secretly telling other people that's the way the waves are going. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I think he knows that, like, I think he doesn't want to become the next Hillary Clinton where he's just, like, hated by half of, like, the liberal left, you know? Because he's already kind of, like, leaning that direction with the, like, we can't be too radical. Like, can't cut out half the people.
He did give Bernie permission to use his, basically a semi-endorsement of him speaking
of his policies,
of his policies and just talking about how he's someone who fights the people. Like they ran an ad that's like a really, really good ad for really going after that like
that Barry
friend of Barry vote, you know. And like I mean, you know, he's at least grounded enough to know that like we're gonna have to get there. But I think he's just making the terrible calculation that like his policies are what will beat Trump's policies. I think it's an ego thing too, honestly.
I think I would bet just this is like random personal opinion off of zero information, but I think slightly informed. I don't think it's an ego thing because the chatter was he was against Biden running at the beginning, and I think he probably still has that.
Well, he knew the writing on the wall was.
That's
the
thing. I think he still has that instinct, but I think he knows. If I went against either of them right now and endorsed the other thing, I either lose the moderate wing of the party or the liberal wing of the party.
Yeah, and I think
I want to sit on the fence right in the middle.
General election, like endorsement
Yeah.
should sound genuine.
Exactly.
Which it doesn't if he endorses Biden and then
Well,
Bernie
then-
comes and sweeps
exactly.
and then has to go put his tail between his legs for Bernie. Yeah.
Exactly. And you still piss off half the party, which he wants to still be like the guy who's the big
the
guy in the
moderator.
Democratic.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't think he wants to lose that role.
What's weird, he literally is like he's like the only adult in the room for 99% of Americans listening. Like they don't care what Pelosi thinks is happening to the party. They don't care what Chuck Schumer thinks is happening to the party. They really don't care about any of this stuff. But when like Barack Obama is like quoted on something, that hits home for people who voted for him twice and then saw Trump win. Like that's big for them.
The authority on a lot of different things.
It's crazy. But I mean, who else is there? We have losers right and left besides that. We have Kerry. We have fucking Hillary. We've got
That's what I mean. We lost
Al Gore.
We lost the Clintons when it got so dirty between her and Bernie because she can't be the middle, the fence sitter anymore because
she picked a side.
Yeah, she picked a side, and the Bernie crowd hates her now.
Yeah,
I think that's what Barack Obama doesn't want to happen to him. Is he doesn't want to have to pick a side.
Yeah.
He wants to just be the guy who's like ahead of over the whole Democratic Party.
Yeah,
and can advise them and seems like you said, seems like the adult in the room. I'll let the kids fight it out, and then I'll be there to support whoever wins.
Let's take us into the chaser.
Okay, chaser time.
We got a good one for you this week, so I think we're just gonna jump right into the.
It's a really good life lesson
to everyone's
really
America's favorite son.
Yeah. You know what I think might be a good idea?
What?
Let's do our closing remarks and then just send it off with a chaser.
Okay.
You know how we usually come back from the chaser?
Okay.
I think we should do our thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
All right.
At John Arterburn on Twitter. At SI_podcast on Twitter. YouTube, Slightly Informed Media. Yada yada bullshit. Come like us. We love you guys. We'll see you on the other side. And here's our chaser.
Anchor on CNN called my father a piece of...
That's right. Piece of shh.
Right. Look at that POS comment that you made, right? You might be an opinionated person, but you don't use profanity.
They're going to sue his ass up. Beat the shit out of them. Ripping the shit out of the seat. The son of a bitch.
Raise that fucking price.
You're not a child when it comes to calling people names.
Lion Ted. L-Y-E-N. Little Marco. Crooked Hillary.
I mean... the manners, the lack of morals in society is awful.
Grab him by the pussy.
And honestly, I blame most of these politicians.
I guess I have been a politician.
The way they act are out of control. It's really the worst of the worst, Sean.
Did you hear the best part though? He said he's not the only penis man.
What? Florida man arrested for pulling gun on escort. She was touching everything in my house but my dick.
Rest in peace, this man's whole career.
Oh my god, no.
No! Yeah.